Namaskar. My name is Suraj Singh, professional engineer. In my last file, I explained about the gross national issues that we have been facing, India has been facing or Bharat has been facing. Now I'll explain about the next point, that is generation of reliable employment at all levels. Yes, the most important problem we have been facing with the generation of employment of the youth that requires very serious attention at all levels. Progress has no meaning if the employment is not generated constantly. Those who are capable must be provided jobs according to caliber. Many new schemes shall generate a lot of employment, but still, enormous exploration has to be done. For creating reliable employment, a separate Ministry of Employment has to be created for this coordination among all other ministries. We do not intend to promise anything that cannot be availed or achieved. Real action is required on parts of all involved in the governance and policy making. Industries, industrialists and companies have a high degree of responsibilities on them to involve with this cause. This is a very important cause, very significant cause, as the elimination of poverty depends upon this. Until we have the employment for all the people who deserve the jobs, there can be no solution, and we cannot call ourselves advanced economy or anything, as we have been stressing a lot for many years. Industrialization at government level. We are not the advocates of complete privatization of industries. Those sectors where government can be successful to meet the economic product cost shall be within state control after due vetting or processing. We are also not keen to allow uncontrolled flow of profits to MNCs in every sector which produce products for domestic consumption at least. Open economy should not be meant as throwing economy and later face the problems in every sector. Daily electricity distribution is a clear-cut evidence of problems applying private sector for such a high public responsibility network. Industrialization at corporate private level is already progressing towards advancement. The private corporate sector shall maintain its lead to pull the nation towards forward subject to reasonable controls without affecting and interfering with the management. The controls shall amount to surveillance status. Priority sectors shall be defined based on the actual survey and experts' advice. Policy on priorities for domestic products. We are of the view that it is not essential on the part of the state to involve MNCs or foreign investors in the market economy, where domestic competitive players are available. The profits of the domestic products should be used for the national development and definitely not encouraged to be siphoned off to overseas nations. Efforts, on the other hand, should be dedicatedly made for the export of these domestic products to earn foreign exchange from the underdeveloping economies. Middle East can be a big booster. This market can be further explored as these sectors can accept our products with respect. Main products power is manpower that we have been exporting to these countries. And these countries, particularly Arabian Gulf and others in the Middle East, have got their development based on the major contribution of Indian manpower of all categories of classes, from the lowest helper to highest professional. Those countries have benefited our stamina, our education, and our manpower, intelligence, our knowledge. We should make more manpower for them, and not only for them, for other countries as well. We have to train the people who are not well trained. We have to produce more and more people, and the state should take responsibility of producing more persons as such. Education policy for internationalizing all education schools. Reduction of fee structures to let all avail studies. Quality education should not remain a distant dream for a common citizen. The state has to chart out all possibilities to upgrade the education sector at all levels at a minimum expense to the student. We have a large pool of educationists all over who should be duly encouraged financially to have them concentrate on their school trainings without contemplating for additional coachings for additional learnings. All brains are brilliant if properly fed and utilized. Opportunity for development is of utmost significance. Particular stress should be given to reserve classes to help them avail extreme benefits of the education in all respects to the extent possible to make them fit for the higher education completion success. The fees that have now been high enhanced. For example, in the institutes of technologies, in institutes of management, they have skyrocketed the fees, and the limit of the common person or an intelligent person has been crossed. It's impossible for a middle class person or for an ordinary student to get admission into these institutions even if he is intelligent, one is intelligent. It is not good to go to the bank to get the loans and then spend many years of the life after getting the education to clear those loans. It makes an effect on the mind of a person. I don't support this. Promotion of basic sciences, R&D and scientific personnel. Due to the rush for management and IT education, basic sciences have lagged behind. That is not in national interest in long term due to the fact that without the development of basic sciences, connected development on other disciplines shall adversely affect. The state has to chart out definite policies on investment and proliferation of science education will do allowance on research and development. Leading scientists should be encouraged for their skill and performance. Scientists should be given more opportunities, more because incentives. The salary should be more than the administrative people. Scientist is an asset for the nation. He should be regarded well. He should get due regards, monetarily as well as otherwise. Promotion of engineering sciences, R&D. Similar principle as to basic sciences applies to engineering as well as applied engineering spheres that can prove to be the backbone of entire national development. This sector cannot be overlooked at all. We have immense potential of engineering skills and manpower base that should be further enhanced and augmented to meet the national as well as international requirements. There is a shortage of research on engineering and sciences. Basic engineering are diminishing from the nation. We have very few seats. We have very few seats that are attractive. If the intelligent people are not running to sciences, now engineering, they are running to basic engineering where money is coming in. They are not reaching. They are not joining the colleges for scientific purpose. Our BSc, MSc number of graduates are falling because jobs are scarce. We have to create more awareness, more opportunities we have to give to them, to scientists and to engineers. Overhauling of health sector, promotions of Ayurveda, promotion of domestic pharmaceutical industries, promotion of economical effective medicines. Without good public health looking after efficiently about people, nation cannot go healthy. So far the health sector has been unfortunately neglected by the non-concerned governments. Governments have neither been able to prevent the deteriorating state of health, nor could provide reasonably fair treatment to all members of society, particularly at grassroots level. Incapable to afford expensive medical care, it's not an easy job, but we are committed to achieve a good care state of health for all sections of society. Preventive measure is better than curing arrangements. Medicines are very expensive for a common man. For that, due subsidy shall be allowed. Those private hospitals allowed lands at concession rates shall be forced to serve poor patients and must be forced. Legal action must be resorted against such non-compliant medical houses. They have benefited from the cheap rates while acquiring the lands. Supreme Court has already ordered that they should extend the benefits of the 5 lands allotted to them should be presumed, but nothing has happened so far. Health is every day deteriorating and falling down. The standards are not given. Opportunities are not extended to the poor class, middle class. Everybody is not rich to avail the medical facilities from escorts like hospital or some other like hospitals. Very good hospitals of India, government are very scarce. For example, our Institute of Medical Sciences, everybody cannot go there from every part of the country. So it's a very difficult problem. The standard of health is falling down and the health service is very expensive. Charity hospitals are very few. Everywhere, holy families are not available so that people can go and have the charity hospitals. Raising the status of educated class by statute enactment. All higher education should be brought under the statute enactment to make the institutions autonomous bodies, savings not to affect the weaker sections of the society. Due recognition shall be given to the professionally qualified persons as national statutory functionaries. All the statutory bodies shall come under the policy definition purview of statutory supranational councils, directly reporting to the Vice President or President as the visitor. The state shall not intervene in the educational matters, except for funding of the education institutions. These institutions shall be at liberty to be funded by the corporate or public sectors. Government of India or any of these states shall decisively grant aid to the institutions judiciously without having any right for the interference into their institutional affairs. Institutions should be autonomous. They should be free to decide subject to the condition they charge a reasonable fees only from the students. They should have the decision power for all affairs, except that people should not be harassed. Training the workforce for overseas requirements to world-class standards. So far, our citizens working overseas in the Middle East and other sectors have contributed to the national reserve foreign exchange. The government shall establish centers all over the country to impart world-class training to the aspiring workers who may be able to sell their skills competitively. Nominal fee shall be charged for all such courses from the level of helpers to skilled technicians and operatives. International professionals shall be invited to train these workers, and the instructions in a systematic style about more than 1 billion USD, United Nations dollars monthly is being repatriated to Bharat from GCC countries, Gulf Council countries. That is planned to be doubled. They should be planned to be doubled. Raising status of industrial and construction industries. Construction field unfortunately has not been industrialized yet. The reason has not been defined by various governments. Consequently, workers engaged on these fields have never been organized for their due benefits. It is intended to declare all the construction sectors of the country as industry so that all the personnel involved get their due benefits. We have well-developed proactive builders, constructors, promoters, mafia all over the country that needs to be controlled by regularization. There is no act that controls any builder or constructor or promoter. This requires regulated promoters, and we have regulate promoters, builders, site personnel, engineering personnel, supervisors, relevant skilled artisans, material vendors, testing laboratories, geotechnical specialists, third-party certifying agencies, and much more to be defined based on public response. Construction industry is half of the economy. 50% of funds are invested in the construction industry, involving all the sectors of the nation. It's very important that we should have quality builders, quality engineers, quality promoters. It's not ordinary business. Alone, Indian Contract Act is not sufficient. We should enact more acts so that everybody is regularized. Only for the engineers. We have Institution of Engineers India. We don't have any parliament act which makes it mandatory for all the engineers to be registered. It is only voluntary registration. There is no act that defines the engineers should be registered mandatory. Institution of Engineers India has a power to register the engineers, but that power is not mandated in any act that is mandatory for all. There are chartered engineers, there are professional engineers, there are engineers, but there is no mandate on that from the government. Anybody can call himself engineer. It's very bad for the country. Minimum qualification for eligible voters and voters' duties. Right of franchise enshrined in the Constitution is a high-profile authority vested upon the eligible voters. That right cannot be taken for granted. Votes have been misused in the past due to interkings and also various sorts of bribing. This malpractice is to be checked in all respects. Basic education for a voter shall be fixed to a minimum 10th standard. Prior to the voter being registered, a training and oral test is intended to be conducted particularly for undergraduate voters. Voters must demonstrate that the meaning of the vote is clearly understood by the voter. The intention is to let the voter understand that it's not a commodity to be sold to politicians. Those who are graduates or above may be allowed additional vote to streamline the system of intellectual input into the electioneering process to enable select right candidates. Also, to be envisaged that voters must cast votes since state spends money. In case due to any reason voter cannot attend the polling, and information should be given to the presiding officer in due time to record the absence and vote any voter who keeps away from exercising his right continuously twice without any valid reason. The name should be removed from the voter list. Any person not participating in elections shall not be allowed to have his candidature for any legislative position anywhere. For non-resident Indians, postal ballots polling should be allowed without creating any Indian politics in those nations to avoid any interference in the political international relations. Every person having the right of additional voting should have a moral responsibility to teach other voters to participate with the electoral process for better national development. Vote is very fundamental right of every citizen. It cannot be granted that it's just a right. This right to be properly and suitably utilized. Every person who is voting must know about his candidate. It's not simply a criminal who can be elected. We want even the president and the prime minister to the standards. MPs to the standards. We don't want MPs playing in the parliament and fighting with each other with shows and which abuses language. We want a good country. We want a good legislature, not a gunda legislature. They are criminals. They are fighters. They are businessmen. They're doing business of politics. This money is moving among the politicians. Political parties are making a business of everything. We want to avoid this by amending the acts. Defining criteria for religious controls to prevent religious conversions, promotions. Religious conversion is a very big issue which relates to secularism. Bharat cannot afford to let its people keep on converting from one religion to another just by inducement. Criteria shall be fixed by religious conversions. The person intending to be converted shall have to convince the relative authority that there is no compulsion but exclusive voluntary due to having faith in the other religion. Group conversion shall be banned all over the country. Conversion is a game now. Christians are making it a game, big game, relevant to Christianity. Whole world is behind India, behind Bharat. They want to diminish Hinduism or Vedism or Sanatan Dharma. They are inducing the people, old people, uneducated class, who are not well educated or who are from reservation, to adopt these religions by inducement of land or by service or by job or by anything. This is against the basic fundamental provisions of the constitution. They cannot do it. Secularism doesn't mean convert the people. Secularism means just respect all the religions and that's it. You cannot defy Hinduism or Vedism or Sanatan Dharma or Dharam. Dharam is the original religion of Bharat. It's the spirit of Bharat. It's the soul of Bharat. Islam and Christians are important religions to this nation. We have to give due regard only to all religions, but you cannot degrade any other religions like people have been doing, particularly those communities which are against Hinduism, against Vedism. They are degrading secularism. If you are a Hindu or a Vedism or a Dharma follower, you are entitled as communal. This is the Congress policy, this is the communist policy. Communist policy, this is the policy of those people who are the advocates of secularism. If you are Hindu or if you are right wing, you are called communal. Others are plus wings. And left, they call themselves secular, but they are not secular. Being pro-Muslim or pro-Christian doesn't mean you are secular. That is not secularism, that is negative secularism. Describing jobs for all people's representatives. A statutory committee shall be constituted to design the job descriptions of all constitutional offices, including that of the institution of the President. The accountability of these offices is already fixed in Parliament. Establishing statutory monitoring meetings of experts under the supervision or guidance of public panchayat involvement to a strong role of these bodies to be defined. Job description should be defined, otherwise public shall not know what are the duties of any official or any authority in the government. Everybody must know in black and white and blue and white. Revision of Parliament is scheduled to work for 12 hours a day for completing all pending bills. Our Parliament is a very luxurious body. We cannot afford that. We are not that rich people in the world. Due to the fact that immense work is to be done by the legislature at all levels, it is intended to increase the working times on an average based on 12 hours a day. A channel shall be established broadcasting full activities of the Parliament and the state legislatures. People shall have the right to send their questions directly to these bodies by mail during these proceedings. We want to see all lagging behind activities should be finished within 5 years to allow the smooth sailing after that. Enlarging judiciary at all levels, encourage advocates, take up judicial appointments. The government so far has hesitated to enlarge the judicial system due to so many undefined reasons. All cases in general consume a lot of time that is not acceptable in the interest of the general public. Enlargement to at least double the present extent is unavoidable to expedite disposal of all pending cases. In addition to this, revision of courts is scheduled to work 12 hours a day and reduction of court holidays and days in cooperation with the judicial officers. It has been observed that because advocates usually each are much more than the salaries of the judicial officers, these advocates do not express willingness to join the judiciary. To effect their enlargement, this point is to be considered in detail so that they be encouraged to accept such appointments. Requirement of judiciary is rising, cases are piling up. There must be at least twice or thrice the strength of the judiciary in the country. Budget deficit stopping. We do not remember any year of post-independence era when any announcement about the surplus on the budget was made. The deficit has been continuously magnifying. This should be a cause of serious concern to every citizen due to the inflow and opening of economy fully. This shall further rise to much higher levels. Running the nation under deficit is like a family borrowing without any stability. Hard steps should be adopted to reduce the deficit sooner the better. Ultimately, the hard-earned money of our people goes towards payments of interest on borrowing And balance of payments is always a question of Parliament, a question of public. Revision of all in pre-independence statutes. Parliament did not take much interest to bring in line, to update all laws in line with the current national requirements that should be conducted from time to time. We have to keep working on this case, on this cause. All existing laws of pre-independence have to be studied with an objective either to amend them or to repeal them accordingly as necessary to meet the present requirements. We have too many volumes of laws, many of them never worked or are obsolete. Only these laws that work should be continued with regular amendments or updates, and all others should be written off. Revision of the Constitution. The most important and significant work to be done is the amendment on the Constitution of India. This document was designed based on thoughts at that time of 40s, but now many changes have come in life. Style has changed, technologies have changed, social structure has been changing, population structure has changed. Constitution should also be kept changing from time to time so that it works in tune to the new requirement. Yes, it requires a massive mandate of the people, no doubt, but that has to be done. This is the most valuable exercise if we could succeed as a nation. It requires contribution, cooperation of all sections of the society, including judiciary. It's a very big job. It's not the Bible. It's not Quran. It is not Vedas. It is not Quran. It is not anything that cannot be changed according to the requirement of people. This should be kept amending. It has been kept amending, but that is relevant to the politics only. It has not been kept amending since the independence, depending on the requirement of the nation. It has to be started professionally, that whatever is the requirement of the people, and it has to comply with that, it has to come in line with that. Revision of criminal to civil procedure codes. Very well known that cases take many years for decisions and awards. This must be reviewed by amending and simplifying the procedures within both the procedures codes and alliance with the judiciary. The duration of the cases must be decided. It takes sometimes 20 to 30 years to decide in a case. That is not acceptable by the public. Establishing agriculture and statutory industry to raise the standards of the farming community. This point is very valuable so that the farmers, Kisan community is benefited. Crops insurance should be allowed, easy loans should be allowed, all the facilities which are required for the purpose of doing the agriculture must be produced, must be given execution, not only grants. Just waiving the loan is not sufficient, that is a bribe. Farmers should be sure that without any natural rain, he must be having electrical supply, he must be having good canals, he must be having good fertilizer at the optimum rates. Only then he can produce good. Proceeds can be fine. Encourage youth to join defense forces. The interest to join defense forces has fallen due to opportunities in other professions. More openings with attractive salaries and facilities should be devised to encourage the youth with caliber to serve the country. Management education has caused distraction on other professions due to financial attractions involved. Similarly, IT has caused the distraction. This approach requires a checking input to make a balance for the national interest. Exploration how to create an environment not to have any person sleep without food and shelter. Establishing certain langars, bandaras, centers all over the nation for the most poor to be fed twice a day at least in case no money is earned. Cards to be organized, funding arrangements to be explored, the users to be utilized for development works in the vicinity. We do not intend to know that people sleep without food anywhere in Bharat. It can be managed. Collective community or group meals in the form of free bandaras or langars can be organized all over in the areas where such groups reside. Out of these below poverty lines members, those who are physically stronger could be utilized on development works. The amendment of earnings by members in excess of amount spent on food can be adjusted on wages for payment. Funding for such cause can be mobilized from taxpayers as well as from genuine donations. All industries as well as corporate sectors can be encouraged to allow their contributions for fulfilling this cause so that no one in our country goes without food at least. Low fee night shelters for all homeless to be organized. Concept of night shelters is not new. Many bodies already provide this. This can be started on government local bodies levels as well as voluntary by various organizations and corporate around. A nominal fee can be charged for the maintenance of and upkeep of these shelters. These are very good to protect the people from various adversities of the seasonal changes. Kashmir issue. This issue should be resolved in phases. A schedule shall be prepared keeping at least 5 years period for intensive studies and finding the solutions. Kashmir residents should be convinced in spirit how staying in Bharat shall help them. It should be a gradual process, but we have to be careful as our neighbor is too smart for mixing up the issues. We have to see that all Pandits pushed out of Kashmir must go to their state in due time to resettle with full right protection. Border issues similarly follow the same pattern as for Kashmir issues. Border issues must be solved. Illegal migrants in Bharat, very serious issue, and should be dealt with sternly without any emotions or vote bank politics. Non-Indians have to go back to their homes. Bangladeshis have to go back. They have turned terrorists. This is confirmed. They are stealers. They are thieves. They are robbers. They are murderers. This has to be resolved. International politics to be coherent. Coherent. We have started deviating from our own policy basis. To some extent, it may be right to enable to be a part of the international community, but it cannot be generalized. Now, if new policy taking into confidence, all people should be made by revising the existing policies that could include revalidation of the existing or the old policies. Please add to these comments. Televisions to continue. It's not so easy. The one problem that our nation has been facing is about that we are calling communalism. It has been made fun of actually. What is secularism? Secularism must be discussed openly to regenerate its misconcept and establish its real applicable construction. Shall we be able to understand the correct meaning of the secularism that applies to Bharat, India scenario? This deliberation is significant in its perspective as no definition exists within our Constitution of India Act. In 1949, when the Constitution of India Act was enacted, the word secularism was not included as an integrated main part of the preamble page. It indicates that the Constitutional Assembly had minded a normal application of the term as practice of religion freedom as included within the fundamental rights. In the absence of a clear-cut description and its scope, development of many different opinions are naturally, and our political parties have either used or misused the term to their vested interests. Or their suitability. Congress has been an exclusive major political party since independence till today. According to Congress practical application, construction of the term has been just thinking of one community. In all respects, as secular. Congress has failed in all respects to explain the correct meaning of secularism by limiting it to just by encountering it with the word communalism. Actually, there is no such word in the Constitution of India Act. Communal refers to every community or sect. Should we discuss about Islam? It is communal to the same value as if we discuss about Gita, Ramayana, Vedas, Bible, etc. Late Prime Minister Gandhi amended the Constitution of India Act around emergency period and inserted this term officially. The whole purpose of this insertion was to be used as a weapon against non-Congress political parties. We people could not understand the Congress in India, Indira design of its long-term effect. Factually speaking, there was no need of inserting this term, as all communities had been living in harmony. Let us analyze what this word has got or has gifted us. Hate distance, political vote bank. All religions are equally responsible for this current state of affairs. Constructive communities in Bharat have been since centuries. Political parties, particularly Congress, has used the vote banks for its electoral gains. Designated Hindu votes banks never existed as Hindu community defined, even inconvenient to go to cast franchise or vote. So lazy, really, they are from this viewpoint. In the absence of these lazy voters, after 3 p.m. on the polling day, imposters from all political parties enter the booths in connivance with the party agents and by impersonation cast those votes of lazy people. I have personally experienced as my vote was already cast when I reached the booth and disputed with the presiding officer, who later, after having verified my